Hi everybody, this is Linda G. Robert, your solution lady, your coach, your back in the groove coach with tip number 2. Now, yesterday I started tip number 1 because I mentioned that I'm in self-isolation now for 14 days. So guess what? You'll be getting a tip every day for the next 14 days. This is tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to really know your values. So you need to really understand what you value, what your core values are, if you're going to make any lasting change. You know, the term values refers to the inner standards from which you might act or for which behavior might be judged. And usually you might recognize that you're in alignment with your values, or there'll always be a little sign or little twitch that tells you that you're not in alignment with some of your values. Now, how do you recognize your values? Well, one of the ways to recognize your values is by really recognizing when you feel energetic, when you feel quite positive in a certain situation. Now, just because your family instilled certain values in you doesn't necessarily mean that they are indeed your values. Now, in the workshop or the seminar that I offer on what matters most, we do take a look at values, and we talk about how to recognize those different values. But you know, there are different values in different areas of our lives. You know, yesterday I asked you what you want. What do you want? So now I'm asking you, what do you value? What do you value in a relationship, for example? What do you value at work, for example? And you know, the values at work and the values that you appreciate in a relationship might be different, might be similar. So ask yourself not only what do you want, but what is it that you value within this part of my life? I want you to be given that some thought. And is this value, are these values how you are currently living your life? Now, you know, when you think of how you might be currently living your life, it might be in alignment with how you really do want to live your life, but it might be your current set of values. And when you think about your current set of values, maybe it isn't how you want to live your life. Maybe you would be living your life on a very different set of values. So, you know, when you start identifying what it is you truly, truly want, it's quite possible that your values are going to start shifting, and that you might notice that you don't feel so comfortable with what's going on anymore, because you are now doubting your values and you're shifting towards, you know, different set of values. That might happen. This is why coaching, you know, sometimes is so important, to be able to talk about that and recognize these shifts that you're experiencing. So tip number 2 is start identifying your values. Start recognizing what values you currently have and hold, and what values you want to strive for, you want to work towards. For example, I really value family. And although I don't live in the same city as my kids and grandchildren, you know, I could think that I don't value it, but I still do. Of course I do. But how am I going to put that into more action? Because I don't see my kids every day. Well, if I want to touch base with my kids more often, then I'm going to make it a point. I might have to write it on my calendar. I might have to connect with them through Google Duo, or actually I just talked to my son on Google Hangout today. And with everything that's been going on lately in the world, my son seems to have been connecting with me more often as well. So it's just interesting how the values might still be there, but if we don't put actions behind those values, they're just words. They're just words. You know, so after I talked to my son, I have two sons. I talked to one yesterday and I talked to another one today. I feel closer to them, and I know that I'm in alignment with that value that I have, even though I might not be living in the same city as them. So it's one thing to have values, it's another thing to live, you know, in accordance to our values, in alignment with our values. And it's also obviously another thing to develop some action steps that will be in alignment with our values. So that's your tip for today. Tip number 2 is, what are your values? What are your values? And of course, if you want more information on my services, go to my website at www.backinthegrooveagain.com. I would love to be your coach. And of course, now for the next few weeks, I'm going to be offering free services for anyone who is in midlife. So if you want to talk about anything, I'm going to put the information below in the comments section, but we'll be meeting every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's on a Zoom meeting. If you're in midlife and you want to talk about anything, we can definitely meet. This is part of the services that I'm offering as we all are going through a very interesting and challenging time. All right, I hope to see you next time. I hope to see you at the Zoom, and stay tuned for tip number 3, which will be tomorrow. Bye, everybody.